Welcome to the Labor Forum. Our guests today are two people from the we actually have a very long title. It says Brick and Cement Workers is what I knew.
International Union.
Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers, Local 8 here in Atlanta. So we have Glenn Kelly, who is president of the local, and we have Phil Husband, who is, I don't know your title.
Secretary and Treasurer.
Secretary Treasurer. So we have people who know much about this union and know much about the craft that we're going to talk about. And we all know that as we drive around Atlanta, there's construction everywhere. And we see the people who are putting those brick facades up and making those cement sidewalks and driveways. But we're going to learn about more of the crafts that are involved in Local 8. I want to thank you both for coming. As many of our listeners know, on the fourth Monday of every month, we do a special program with members of the various building trades in Atlanta. And we talk a lot about the apprenticeship programs that they have, because one of the issues that is important is that more and more skilled workers become union members so that we can ensure safety on these jobs. I saw on the news that 2 people have died on one of the highway interchanges in the last little bit, and I had to wonder how that happened. Anyway, we'll start right off with both of you, if you wouldn't mind, Glenn and Phillip, telling us how it is that you became a bricklayer, cement worker, allied craft worker, etc., and what it is that you exactly do.
Okay, so I'll start off. Yeah, I'm Glenn Kelly, and thank you for the introduction. I'm a cement mason by trade. So I'm one of the, what you would call the allied craft workers in the VAC. I actually joined the union in 2009, right out of high school, and went to work at a nuclear power plant, which is a Savannah River site over in Aiken, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Covers Aiken, Williston, and Barnwell, South Carolina. And I actually worked up under the Recovery Act money, the ARA, during the President Obama administration. It was where I first got my start. So I'm a second generation. My family actually, all cement masons. And so I had to one day, wake up and say, hey, you're going to work. They wanted you, they wanted you to learn the trade, the business of the concrete construction business. And so anyway, I actually enjoyed it. And it helped me elevate and get a head start when I came into the union. So ran work at very young. I was 19 years old when I got in.
And what does a cement mason do?
Cement mason goes out and finishes what you see, your sidewalks, you see the high rises, the hotels, all the concrete structure,
parking decks.
You finish it. You name it. Anything that's with concrete, it needs to be a finished surface. That's what the cement masons do.
But you don't build the forms.
No.
Somebody else builds the forms.
The carpenters usually build the forms. You're right. The carpenters build the forms. They form it up, and so forth and so on. Different businesses have different setups. Okay. So, anyway, shortly after I got involved in the union, more into the business side of it. I ended up becoming secretary treasurer of before our merger, then Local 33. Then after we merged Local 8 Southeast, came back and ended up becoming the safety director. Then moving over to a business representative, then secretary treasurer, now president of local. So my little short tenure has been a wild ride, but I've actually enjoyed it, and I enjoy what I do. Whether I'm out there, whether I was out finishing concrete, or whether I'm over here trying to do the business of the local union, it's always been a very, very interesting, time in the union.
Super.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm actually 30 years old. Just turned 30.
Youngster.
All right now.
Youngster.
You could be my son.
Yes.
Okay, Phillip, how about your story?
I'm a third generation bricklayer, mason. My grandfather was a mason. That's how I got into the craft. My uncle was one as well. My grandfather was actually president of the Laurel, Mississippi local back in the 60s. Back many moons ago, and that's how I got into the craft. And then I actually got really involved in the union work. Little after 2000, my first union job that I worked on, never will forget it. It was a federal courthouse in Jackson, Mississippi, setting stone. So I went from laying brick and block to setting stone. And that was my first real union job. And then after working it, I was like, whoa, I get free insurance? I mean, I get company paid insurance? I mean, you gotta be kidding. I mean, this is benefits like a corporate CEO gets or something like that. I mean, I'm a construction worker. I never knew this was out there for me, and it was just amazing to me. And then plus, well, I'm getting sidetracked, but anyway, you know, that's just one thing, you know, that really got me involved with it. I mean, the benefits that we have, and you know, I continued working on it as a mason for several years, and then I had the opportunity to run for one of the offices of the local, at the time was local 6, and before the merger that President Kelly spoke about. And then just continued on and just trying to do the right thing and to help people. That's what it's about to me, is to you know, try to help people. You know, if they're having issues on the job, if they're looking to make more money, to better themselves, that's what it's about for me.
That's what's up.
And how many generations back does the union go? Do you know?
So the International Union, actually International Union of Bricklayers, not like Craftworkers, was founded in 1865.
Whoa.
It's the oldest continuous union to this day. So we take great pride in that. As a youngster in the union, I'm like, wow, I'm part of the oldest continuous union today, you know. And so we really do. We take a lot of value, and we watched our union change over the last several years that I've been a part of it, and we're making changes for the betterment to continue to move our union as we, as the oldest continuous union, adapt to the future and what we're looking at and where we're going, because the future looks a lot different from what it is now. And so we've been able to do a lot of adapting to our different circumstances.
So let me ask you a question. So now there's this sort of amalgamated of a number of locals. So how large what's your membership?
Our membership is around 2,700 members right now, 2,800 members in Local 8. We cover 9 states. We cover a non-state jurisdiction. We go all the way from Hampton, Virginia, all the way down to Florida, all the way over to Louisiana, Tennessee, and all the states in between, Georgia and the Carolinas, obviously Mississippi, Alabama.
Basically the SEC conference.
Yes, right. if you're a fan, you know SEC conference. That's right.
So you must spend a lot of time servicing in terms of contracts and grievances. What kind of
How does that work?
Yeah, how does that work
So
over such a large area?
So day-to-day operations, yes. A lot of administrative deals. I'm a lot of time in the office. Sometimes, more of the time, I'm out in the field. Amongst our members in meetings, visiting job sites, so forth, so have you. But yeah, there is a lot of administrative that has to be done in a local this size. And with my partner, Secretary Treasurer Phillip husband here, we make it work. We tag team it together. We are a good partnership. We actually, work with our staff. We have about 7 staff members out in the field, and we also have 3 ladies in the office that work really hard for us and with us. And so we do it as a team, and we enjoy it. I tell people all the time, if you enjoy your job, it's not a job for you. I love people. I like dealing with people, and I love just going out, listening, and helping people. And so we're working on organizing a campaign right now over in Nashville, Tennessee. That is something we're working on, and we're trying to continue to grow our membership and hopefully help workers out there that are underrepresented and they're not being represented to their full capacity.
Well, that's the question we have asked everybody. The fact that there is a building boom, not just in Atlanta, but in many, many cities. Mm-hmm. And we see construction workers of all kinds whenever you drive around, and I see workers who aren't hooked up, out on the outside of buildings, and I'm going, what's with that? I see unsafe practices all over, and I know right away, that's not a union job. So I want you both to explain to our listeners kind of like what the difference is between working a job where you have no rights to safety, you have no rights to a grievance, you just plain old have no rights, compared to a job where it's under a union contract. So, and particularly if you've all got a great story.
Well, the biggest difference to me, what I see between the non-union and the union section of work, first off, if you're working for a non-union employer, you 99% of the time you have absolutely no benefits, and the pay is normally not as well. And then also, you know, you're in the South. It pretty much fire at will states. They can fire you for any reason they want to. They can just say, "Hey, I don't like what you're wearing today. You're fired." You know, which that's one thing. And also working non-union, the work conditions in general. You know, the union, the BAC over the years, local aid, we fought for better working conditions, work rules, for the membership, to help everyone to be more productive and safer, because safety is another big issue, like you were just speaking of, not being tied off properly with lanyards, working on some of these buildings. You know, people get killed every day in the United States doing construction work, and falls is one of the biggest reasons for deaths in construction. And you know, no one should ever die on a construction site. I mean, there's not a such thing as an accident. Every accident can be prevented, and that's the big thing. And we teach that. I'm actually an outreach OSHA trainer myself. I've done numerous OSHA classes in the past, and then also, you know.
Phillip, just in case somebody out there doesn't know what OSHA stands for.
Okay. OSHA is Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It's a branch of the federal government that was enacted by Richard Nixon way back when, and its main goal is to protect the union, or not, excuse me, the workers of the United States. Not necessarily the union, but all workers. And luckily, you know, the union side is a little more educated on the OSHA and how it works, and we can help our members, and we can also help people who aren't union members. If you're not a union member and you're having issues, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help everybody, as long as, you know, just trying to help everybody in the workforce.
And I would like to add, you know, to some of the points that Secretary Treasurer Husband spoke about, and I'll be brief in these. So when the union actually has a great deal of market share, a rising tide raises all ships. A lot of the time, if we're able to come in a market and dominate it, and this has been seen in places like New York and other places like that, well, you know, you have a percentage of the labor market as union, then you're able to control the wages. And we're actually kind of having that effect somewhat in Nashville, Tennessee, where we do have a great small percentage of the market share over there. You know, and in terms of safety and health, so the International Union of IUBAC, International Union of Bricklayers and Craftworkers, actually worked to help implement the Silicosis standard, the new Silicosis standard.
Talk to them about that.
Yes,
we saw that on your website.
Yes,
you don't know what
That's
is.
asbestos.
So no, it's actually silica dust. When people do a lot of grinding, you see no water being used. They're either wear respirators. Well, now there are a lot of, and Secretary Treasurer Husband can speak to this as an OSHA instructor. They have put a lot more, way more guidelines in there to help protect people, because people don't realize. And then, you know, there's a part of OSHA that is taught specifically on silica, because people don't understand how dangerous silica
Where's
is.
it come from?
It comes from when you're, you know, doing a lot of grinding, doing cutting into concrete, dry cutting.
Okay.
You have a lot of, you know, that dust that gets up in there.
I see workers with no.
Right. And
Like on the street.
Yes.
When you see people with the saw.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. And that people don't realize that the little particles in that dust can get hung in your lungs and cause your lungs to start to harden over time.
Wow.
And so, which it calls what we call silicosis. Silicosis is one of the most deadliest deals in the construction industry, especially in our trade. Wow. If we got folks out there dry cutting and that dust is everywhere, not only is that person who's cutting in danger, people around it driving, you're driving by it, or if you're just innocent bystander, You know, silica has no name. I mean, it's all
Wow.
over. It's almost like a
Wow.
stray bullet.
Wow.
It's just, it's out there. You know.
And also on the workers' clothes.
Yes, that's correct.
And
when
take
you
it
take
home.
it, you take it home,
Hug
and
the
then
kids.
it can, it gets up in, and it gets up in the air. When you take it off, that the particles are so fine. People don't realize how much it can get in there and hang on to your lungs and cause silicosis. And it can
Wow.
give you a little bit more on it.
Yeah, so like, what are all the preventive measures now that you're thinking about?
Well, the first thing is to, prevent the dust. That of course, eliminate the hazard, which is get rid of the dust. So, wet cutting is one of the first things you do. You get rid of the dust by wet cutting, which cuts down on the dust, and then.
Okay,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
somebody that's going to say, what does that mean? Does that mean water
Use water.
is poured in through the cutting device, or it's poured some other
Well,
way?
the way that works is the saws that you use to cut masonry material with, they have diamond blades on them, of course. That's the only thing that'll cut it efficiently. And then they're hooked up with these pumps, and they pump water onto the blade, so as it cuts, it knocks the dust down. And they also have vacuum systems now. They have these new saws out that actually, it's like a Dyson on steroids. It just sucks the dust. It's pretty amazing to see where you don't have to use wet, because different situations, different materials you're using, you may not have to. The water on the materials may not be what you want because you can't lay it if it's too wet.
And I might let to add to that. I mean, I was at the World of Concrete this past about a couple weeks ago. They usually have that in February out in Vegas, but just to see the transformation of the way that the tools are being made now. They're being made with the vacuum systems where you can hook the vacuum systems up to the equipment now. They're being made where you have hookups where you can hook water hose up to be able to make the cutting. That standard alone has changed the industry in so many different ways, and they're making it safer for workers. And so when people think of the union don't only just help the union. People realized back in the day, years and years ago, when the unions were very much stronger than what they are now, there were a lot of the rules that were implemented by the union, that the union fought for. Workers everywhere get the benefit from that today. And that's one of the things people don't realize. The 40-hour work week, the overtime, things like that. I mean, that's something that I think a lot of times we take for granted, that, rights that were fought for by all of our forefathers and mothers too, right? So those are things that we don't really think about, and they had very good solutions to that. And a lot of people think that the reason why labor has lost so much density today is because we're a victim of our own successes. We fought some of the good fight, and like we lose track. We made it to the mountaintop. Now we can just idle, and then now they're attacking us more now than ever. So it's great that we've been able to achieve the things we have achieved, but we do know there's a lot more work to be done here in terms of safety and things, especially for workers.
All right, so silicosis being one.
And the funding of OSHA inspectors, you don't have that like you used to.
Oh, absolutely not. We've had OSHA folk on here. And they talked about how
Yes.
And
There's
the
some
poultry
place-
plants and
some places
Yeah,
they'll
and
get
it's
one visit
sad.
every 10, 15 years or something. What would be the second leading cause of injury by any of your members?
Well, the first leading cause in construction in general
Is
is
falls.
falls. And I would say the second as far as the bricklaying trade goes would be I'm trying to think of the scientific name for it, but just
Do with the name we'll know.
Basically just being worn out. Your bones and muscles being worn out. It's a tough trade. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
working outside.
Right. Back surgery. I can name quite a few members that's had back surgeries. And a lot of it's because they come up when they're young and think they're Superman. Oh, I can grab a hold of that and snatch and run, and you know, and not thinking, hey, what am I going to do when I get a little older, you know, because I'm guilty of doing that when I was a young man, for sure.
Who isn't? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my uncle always saying, you know, hey, you know, you don't have to work. It's not about how fast you get it done, doing it the right way, and you can get quality and everything by doing the job right and efficiently and effective.
Well, let me say, I've seen people throw what appears to me to be, I don't know how many pounds of bricks up to somebody who's on
Wow.
A scaffold.
the scaffold.
I've thrown,
What's with that?
back in the day, I've thrown about 6 brick at a time up about 12 foot high.
Wow.
And also shoveled mud 2 scaffolds high, you know, about 12 foot in there.
Wow.
You just get it just right, and you throw the shovel and all, it lands on the board, and then you catch it as it comes down.
Wow.
Those are practices of not
I was
good.
gonna say, this is long ago.
that
Keep
was-
what he said was used to. You know?
Used to, not no more.
You know, we're all young. We like to, you know,
But-
do things that we normally.
On these same sites where I see somebody not tied off, I see what I perceive as just very slipshod in regard to safety.
So you
Stuff with
said-
bricks.
So you said number 2, right? Complacency. A lot of people get complacent in doing jobs these days. They, you know, they don't take the time to think it through. On most of our union jobs, you have what you call a start. You know, you have a morning meeting where you talk about the hazards. You get ready to adhere to, you know, in your job duties, and you really take time to assess what could happen here if we don't tie off. What would happen here if a slip, trip, and fall? You know, they make you wear the all your PPE, your regular PPE, your gloves, the safety glasses, and your hard hat. The basic PPE, and then they instill that and drive it into our members that you keep those 3 pieces of equipment on at all times, no matter what you're doing. And over time, what happens if you get taught to do something at a certain time? It just becomes second nature.
Right.
I never forget. I used to, you know, when I used to cut grass, I used to have my safety glasses and boots, and you know, not hard hat so much, but it's because you know you think about the flying objects, the grass is flying all over. You know, you try to protect jobs. It just becomes second nature, and that's the things that you know we have kind of gotten away from. In some aspects of the work job sites, but not our job sites. They instill it, they beat it into your head, and it almost becomes second nature.
Okay. Let me ask a question. So since there's very clearly so many non-union skilled workers out there, oftentimes, ever since the Olympics, to tell you the truth, many workers came from other countries, including Central America and Mexico. How is it, or how do you approach them? Because very clearly, the fact that this is a right to work state, and what you talked about, a boss could just say, you're out of here. And we had someone on, was it last week?
With the painters.
About lost wages, about how so many workers who don't have any kind of guarantee of anything, frankly, can be told that you're done and then don't get paid. So is that an issue at all among the workers who are non-union in your trade?
Yes, wage theft definitely is an issue, and then also, you know, you get these bad contractors, like to call them, that don't pay overtime after 40. They'll work them 60, 70 hours a week and pay them straight time, or either pay them 40 hours on the book, and then the overtime will be paid in cash, which, you know, if the lawmakers would open their eyes, they would see how much money that the government and the state's missing by this of income, you know, but they don't want to help us enforce nothing, and it's a crying shame.
Well, that's a question I had for them about how people. Well, let's talk about in the union setting. How do you get your pay? How do you track your time? Because Diane and I would punch in. I don't think it works that way on a job site.
Well, it varies between job to job and contractor to contractor. Like on a union job, that's what you're speaking of. So, you know, some of them have a sign-in sheet. You sign in every day and you sign out. Okay. Some of them have apps where you get an app on your phone. You clock in. It's got a little GPS on there. So if you're not, you know, if you're not within the facility of work, they say, well, hold on now. This guy was on the other side of town. He said he was at work at 7. You know, there's all kind of different
Technology.
methods. Sometimes they have what they call brass in and brass out. You get a little piece of brass you pick up in the morning, got a number on it, and then when you return, you put it back in.
And
But you have, in terms of deductions, like pension and social security.
No, that's not a deduction.
Those are contractor contributions. The contractor pays that in on behalf of that person.
Okay.
So in our area, every sector is different. So in our sector, the deductions you would only have would be your membership dues.
Okay.
I mean your dues, assessed working dues, and then you know, if we have vacation fund, those we have different other options that we give our members. But anything dealing with you know how you have your defined benefit plans and your defined contribution plans, we also have, you know, those are paid on behalf of those members.
Okay.
And especially anything defined benefit like your pension, your health insurance, things like that.
That's all part of the
It's paid
contract.
It's paid on top of the package for that member.
That's part of the total package.
Total package, that's right. And you know, and she brought up a great point, both of y'all did, about independent contracting and how a lot of non-union workers are getting, people would say, screwed over, right? We found a very bad case of that over in doing some of our organized campaigns. And it is ridiculous how, you know, in Georgia is a right to work state, right?
Yeah. Boo.
But yeah, right to work state. You're right.
For less.
Hopefully, yeah, and that's the thing people don't realize. Right to work
For less.
A lot of people, when we are out there talking to, you know, the workers in the non-union sector, I don't want to pay those dues. I don't want to, you know, and it's made it so hard. We still have to represent these workers that don't even want to pay their fair share.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking of creative ways of thinking about like fair share bills, where if a member's working out there in a union, they should pay their fair share for representation. You know, I always tell people all the time, I say, you know, they like to always beat up welfare and things like that and other entitlements, but yet you can tell people like us who represent the workers out there that we can represent them for free and they don't have to pay a dime for that representation. I always say that is one of the hardest things that that any lawmaker should be able to really coincide with, and I don't understand, you know, their logic behind. Well, I know it's business, right, really pushing it, but you know, the logic behind why would you want to have people working? It's like a lawyer. You got a lawyer working for you. They're gonna always charge you, right? Anytime, any lawyer you know, I don't think there's any lawyers out there that's working for free when they got there on behalf of a client. But right to work is one of those words that people, and we've been driven down the South so long, till it's almost like second nature. And then when you hear the word union, I didn't know unions were still around. We get a lot of time when we're talking to a lot of the craft workers out there. So we cover all the masonry trades, the bricklayers, the block layers, the plasters, cement masons, the mosaic workers, pointer cleaner caulkers, tile setters, you know, terrazzo workers. We cover all the masonry trades. And you will be surprised to hear in some of those different markets where our market share is much smaller, they didn't think the union was still around. Because we've been beat up and beat down so bad. But we're continuing to fight, and we're making strides. I mean, you know, our membership went from, you know, 1,500 to we're at almost 3,000 now. So the fight is continuing to go, and our little staff is continuing to grow here.
Okay, well that really leads us to, we've only got a few minutes left. Two things. One, we want you to talk about the apprenticeship program, because that's the way that you're gonna also train folk out there who are looking for a decent job. So we want to talk about that.
Okay.
Well, first off, as a member, you get training that's next to none. We send people that's been through our apprenticeship training to the World of Concrete, which President Kelly spoke about that earlier, and that's a big masonry convention they have in Vegas every year. And some of y'all may have heard of the Bricklayer 500, the fastest bricklayer. They have a contest out there. The winner wins a brand new truck.
Wow.
And all kind of stuff. And you know, they also have apprenticeship competitions. And we have sent winners, first place winners in the apprenticeship out there to Vegas from local 8 Southeast, from here in the Southeast, that competes against apprentices all across the nation. So our training is definitely, bar none, the best in the country.
All right, so
Yeah.
explain how it works, because we want to make sure people know about the
Yeah.
process and how long it takes and that they earn while they learn and all that good stuff.
Okay, so apprenticeship program. So it's a 3-year program in the BAC, in the Bricklayer and Craftworkers local 8 Southeast. We actually it can be a 3 to 4 year program. You get in by actually now. So there were a lot of barriers in this trades. I don't know if anybody heard how the trades used to be. Everybody thought the trades was just a good old boys club. Well,
Exactly.
we've torn down
Father to son.
with father to son.
And no
If you,
women.
you know, used to go in there with no women, no minorities hardly in some places. People of color. You actually now you have all of that now. So we've torn down a lot of the barriers like high school diploma. You don't have to have a high school diploma to get into BAC. You don't have to have a GED. You actually can get into BAC now. Just a friend. I can if you want to relate someone to us, if they can if they got the skills, they want to come in and learn the skills. If you have the ability just to learn, want to learn, you can come have a career in the BAC. A lot of the things that used to stop people from coming to the trades is because you had to have a car, you had to have your high school diploma, you had to have this, you had to have that. Well, to be in the masonry trades, you can learn how to read a tape measure. You pretty much can learn how to do anything else in there. Learn how to read blueprints, so forth, so have you. That's our job to teach people who want to do that. No, is everybody going to be able to make it out in the BAC? Probably, possibly not. But we give people a chance. It's up to you whether you take that chance or not. Whether you want to make that chance, want to make yourself out to be a journey worker later down the road.
Okay, I want to do it. What do I do?
All right, so you just contact. All right, you can contact. Okay, I got you. You can contact a local. You can contact a local office near you. Our main office is in Atlanta. You can just call our office. You can call the.
Go ahead. Give the number.
It's 404-893-5809. You can press number 1 for our membership services representative, and you can press number 3, I think, is for apprenticeship.
I heard that message.
And Allie Gill is our apprenticeship young lady. Nevada Thomas is our membership services, and Veronica Boyce Joseph is actually our accounts payable, accounts receivable. We can get you to a person in your state, because we do cover 9 states. If you're over in Nashville, we have a pre-job over there, 8-week pre-job. We bring applicants in. We do interviews sometimes. We do interviews with people, but we also bring people in because we're now in the trades we've gotten so bad with people coming into our programs that we bring them in and let them, and they weed themselves out, whether they can make the trades or not, whether they want to make this a career or not. This career is not for everybody. It's for people who are willing to go out there, learn, stick in there for a little while, and make a trade. We actually reach out to a lot of women. Women Build Nations is one of the deals we have really strong alliances with. I'm actually thinking about some things in the future of setting up possibly some committees, but we have a lot of women that work at Disney, work at some of the nuclear power plants that are doing really well, and work out some of the commercial jobs that we have. And so we are really making a big drive for women, people of color, young people from all backgrounds, to let them know that you can have a home in the trades, because a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people.
That's why you're on this program.
Yes, and so and Secretary Phillip can tell you a little bit of that.
Yeah, so we have like 2 minutes. So we need, if there's a website, we need any other kinds of forms of social media, and we need a little bit about, do people go to school every day? Do they go to school 1 day a week and they work? What's the deal?
So it depends on what area you're in. In Alabama, we just got a program going there. It's once a week every Monday. It's when they have the training. It starts at 4:30 and ends I think around 7.
How about Atlanta?
Atlanta, right now we're actually in the process of trying to get our program running here.
Okay, so people would be in the application stage.
You would be in
right
the
now.
application stage right now. In Augusta, Georgia, it's every other Saturday, and it starts at 8:00 in the morning and it runs about 2:00.
And then during the week, you're on the job.
Yeah, so you have your OJT, which is on-job training. You're working out there. You're learning how to, do the trade out there in the field. You also have related training. Related training is where you learn the book training. You learn how to, the book side of everything, how to add, how to subtract, how to read a tape measure, so forth and so on. Anything that entails you in a classroom, and then you get more of your training with hands-on, when you're out in the field, putting your hand on the product, and you're out there laying a brick, finishing some concrete, so forth and so on. So that's the part what you do out there. Go ahead, Sam.
You get the last minute.
All right. Well, thank you, President Kelly.
Say the best for last.
Just remember, you can contact us at Local 8 Southeast on the World Wide Web, www.baclocal8se.org, or you can look us up on Facebook at BAC Local 8 Southeast. And also remember, you could also contact us by phone at 404-893-5809.
All right. Well, wow. So I'm too old.
We don't discriminate based on age or anything.
Oh, well, that's a good question.
Yes.
Somebody in their 50s could do this?
If you're in
It's
your
hard work.
50s and you want to come in there, we will give you a chance.
All right.
There are no barriers in
For a second career.
For a second
For
career.
a second career.
Well, I want to say I really enjoyed this. I hope you all out there in Radio Land have enjoyed as well. I believe, what did I say? Ironworkers. So I think Ironworkers is...
No, you said sheet metal.
Sheet metal workers. I knew it was something to do with metal. Sheet metal workers will be the fourth Monday in March. And I hope everybody has enjoyed these conversations we've had with representatives of the various skilled trades in the building and construction unions here in the Atlanta area. And certainly pass the word around if you know anybody who really wants to have a career. I mean, not just going from one
With no
low
college
wage-
debt.
Yeah.
There you go. No keyword. No college debt. I love it.
And no low pay, no benefit jobs where you're mistreated and disrespected. I want to thank you both.
Okay.
Thank you both so
Thank
much,
you for having
Glenn
us.
and,
Yeah,
and
thank you. I
Phillip,
really
for being
appreciate
here.
this time.
Um,
We